Wow, what a year for theater. 42 productions, 21 musicals, and 21 plays, and something to love about each of them. Well, except maybe Tammy Faye. In my first year in New York City, I was on a mad dash to see as many of these productions as I possibly could, and now that the Tonys are in a couple of days, it's a good time to do a recap of all I saw. As a quick disclaimer, I couldn't see all 29 shows nominated for Tony Awards. The 3 that I missed were The Roommate, up for leading actress in a play, A Wonderful World, up for leading actor in a musical, and Good Night and Good Luck, which is up for leading actor in a play, set, costumes, lighting, and sound design. Which means I saw 26 Tony nominated shows this season, and I'll be going through them from best to worst, noting which awards I think each show deserves along the way. Let's go. The Hills of California is up for Best Play, Director, Lead Actress, Set, Costumes, Lighting, and Sound. I would give it Play, Director, Lead Actress, and Set Design. This was my favorite play of the season. Sam Mendes was able to capture Jez Butterworth's sprawling generational story and keep us focused on the intimacy of 4 sisters just trying to get through life. Laura Donnelly as both the mother Veronica and sister Joan was outstanding. Favorite performance of the season by far, there's just no one else with her level of depth. The entire ensemble was perfect as well, especially the other sisters. Rob Howell's set was gorgeous also. We love a good turntable. Is my love for this helped by the fact that I saw it twice, stage door twice, and met almost all the cast? Maybe, but there were so many moments in this that still occupy my mind. If only it were still running. John Proctor's The Villain has nominations for Best Play, Director, Lead Actress, Featured Actress, Lighting, and Sound. It kills me a little not to give this awards because this play was such a shock. I honestly thought I was going to hate this. I've been scarred before by shows that try too hard to appeal to a certain Gen Z aesthetic. More on that later. But what's really funny about John Proctor's The Villain is that it goes so much deeper than the marketing and name would have you believe. Kimberly Bellflower focuses her play on small-town students and how their relationships are affected by the Me Too movement, while using the Crucible as a sort of plot device to reveal more about each character. It culminates as such an emotionally raw piece, and beautifully directed by Danya Taymor. I will literally see anything she does from now on. Yeah, go see this, if just for the ending, which might be the best of the season. Oh Mary is up for Play, Director, Lead, and Featured Actor, and Costume Design. It is my pick for Leading Actor and Costume Design. I mean, what more is there to say about Oh Mary? It's become the runaway hit of the season, already winning awards, was even a Pulitzer finalist. It's just great. I hope it runs forever. Cole is such a singular talent with an incredibly unhinged brain, and a shout out to Holly Pearson's costumes, which have become instantly iconic, which is crazy for a play. Just for fun, I'll share my dream cast, Emma Stone as Mary and Andrew Garfield as Mary's teacher. Someone please tell me they see my vision. English is up for Play, Director, Featured Actress twice, and Set Design. It is my pick for Featured Actress for Tala Ash. Sanaz Tusi's Pulitzer Prize-winning play follows 4 Armenian students struggling to learn English as they prepare for the test of English as a foreign language. It was really beautiful, a very intimate but still funny piece about language and identity. There have been some really incredible acting ensembles this season, and English was no different. Knut Adams made sure the cast was unified and all striking this very lived-in, authentic acting style. Tala Ash was my favorite, but everyone was very, very good. Some gorgeous lighting also by Reza Bejat that captures the changing sunlight throughout a day. Overall, a very well-produced and well-written play, just some compelling stuff. I know they've all been plays so far, but this was just a really strong year for original plays. Next up is a musical, Dead Outlaw, which was nominated for Best Musical, Director, Score, Book, Lead Actor, Featured Actor, and Featured Actress. I would give it Musical, Score, and Book. I know, this may be a shock. Don't worry, the fan favorite musical is right after this one. I struggled a lot figuring out how much I actually liked this show and came to the conclusion that yeah, I liked it a lot. It's just incredible how Inamar Moses, David Yazbek, and Eric Della Penna have taken this true story of an American bandit and his dead body and turned it into a genre-bending, folksy ghost story of a Broadway musical. Andrew Durand as Elmer McCurdy is at the top of his game. Seriously, his performance is incredible, along with the rest of the cast. Beautifully designed as well. I was shocked that Heather Gilbert didn't get a lighting design nomination because her work contributed heavily to the entire atmosphere of the piece. And just an extra shout out to David Yazbek, who is probably our most versatile composer alive. I cannot wait to see what weird story he sinks his teeth into next. Maybe Happy Ending is up for musical, director, score, book, lead actor, set, costumes, lighting, sound, and orchestrations. It is my pick for director, set, and orchestrations. This musical is set in a futuristic South Korea where humanoid androids are commonplace. When the older bots become outdated, they are sent to basically retirement apartments. And maybe Happy Ending, 2 of these outdated helper bots meet and go on an an adventure together. This and Dead Outlaw are neck and neck for me. I could convince myself of either one being better. What pulls Dead Outlaw ahead for me right now is its weirdness and uniqueness, and how it's generally a tighter show than Maybe Happy Ending. But not to diminish Maybe Happy Ending, it's really impressive how Michael Arden has taken this small 4-person musical and expanded it into a full-on Broadway show. There are some sightline issues, yes, but his direction was pretty great. Hugh Park and Will Aronson's score is really charming, with some great melodies and lyrics. And of course, the way the set is used is pretty genius, starting with just Hua Boon and then expanding to the entirety of Seoul. This show will have a long, incredible life on Broadway, and I'm so glad to see more Asian stories on stage. Sunset Boulevard has nominations for Best Revival, Director, Lead Actor and Actress, Lighting, Sound, and Orchestrations. I would give it Revival and Lighting. The child of quote-unquote visionary director Jamie Lloyd, Sunset Boulevard is a revival of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical based on the classic Billy Wilder film of the same name. Former Pussycat Doll Nicole Scherzinger stars as the faded diva Norma Desmond, while the soda scout himself Tom Francis plays Joe Gillis. What really enthralled me about this revival is how Jamie went back to the black and white noir aesthetic of the original movie. I love the videography, the orchestra sounds just incredible, and with no physical sets, Jack Noel's lighting design has a lot of heavy lifting to do when creating an atmosphere, and he nails it. I will say that some of Jamie's decisions just don't make sense. Things like the famous walk at the top of Act 2 look really cool, but do they contribute to the plot? Maybe not. But overall, this is probably the most thrilling and exciting musical of the season. Floyd Collins was nominated for Best Revival, Lead Actor, Featured Actor, Lighting, Sound, and Orchestrations. I would give it both of its acting nominations and sound design. This is a revival of the Tina Landau and Adam Gettle musical about a cave explorer who gets stuck in a cave. Jeremy Jordan plays Floyd Collins, and man does he sound incredible. There's a 15-minute-ish sequence at the start of the show where Jeremy climbs around on moving set pieces while singing his face off, and it's pretty perfect. Taylor Trench does excellent work as well, playing the reporter haunted by turning Floyd into a media phenomenon. It's a very simple story, which should objectively be shorter than 2 hours and 30 minutes. And there are a few performances in this that didn't really work for me, but Gettle's beautiful score and Landau's staging, she's big on stage pictures and silhouettes, gets us through the more boring sections. I seriously cannot wait for the cast recording to come out. It's gonna be incredible. Yellowface is up for Revival, Lead Actor, and Featured Actor. I would give it Revival and Featured Actor. Yellowface is the first Broadway outing of David Henry Hwang's semi-autobiographical play where Daniel Day Kim plays a fictional version of David who accidentally casts a white guy in an Asian part in a play. PBS broadcast a pro shot of this play not too long ago, and you have until the end of June to check it out if you haven't already. It's a very sharp play tackling big issues with a comedic edge. David's writing is pretty genius in how he incorporates real-world events into his fictional universe. It makes the play somewhat of a mockumentary, which Lee Silverman was able to put on stage really clearly. It falls apart a bit in the last 15 minutes, but Francis Ju playing David's father is a huge delight throughout. He tracks his character's disillusionment with America really perfectly as the optimistic, then bleeding heart of the story. Purpose was nominated for Best Play, Lead Actor twice, Lead Actress, Featured Actor, and Featured Actress. Brandon Jacobs Jenkins recently won the Pulitzer for this play, and it's understandable why. Purpose is about the reunion of a prominent black family, similar to Jesse Jackson's, which is fraught with arguments, secrets, and hatred. It totally deserves all 5 of its acting nominations. Glenn Davis and LaTanya Richardson Jackson do some great work in particular. But for me, it felt a bit underdeveloped. Act 1 has some great setup, but Act 2 meanders a lot and never really pays off. Also, John Michael Hill's character has a lot of narration. Narration, even when used sparingly, is a bit of a scene killer, so it made Purpose feel a lot slower than it should have. But still a great play and a worthy addition to Jacobs Jenkins' pretty incredible body of work. The Picture of Dorian Gray is up for Director, Lead Actress, Set, Costumes, Lighting, and Sound. The Sarah Snook one-woman version of The Picture of Dorian Gray. I came away from this show impressed, but not necessarily moved. To get the obvious out of the way first, I don't think Sarah should win the Tony for her performance. It takes a lot to pull off what she does every single day, but many of her characterizations felt a bit surface level and focused on quirks rather than depth. It's a lot of fun to see her run around on stage and put on different costumes, but I wanted more Oscar Wilde with his sharp critique of society and morality. Definitely very innovative, but I found Sunset Boulevard's use of videography alongside acting more successful, as opposed to only being able to watch the screens at many points in Dorian Gray. But still, like I said, it's a lot of fun. I never expected Barbara Harris singing Gorgeous from the Apple Tree to show up in this play, but it sure does. And when it does, it's just, well, gorgeous. Death Becomes Her has nominations for Best Musical, Director, Book, Score, Lead Actress twice, Choreography, Set, Costumes, and Lighting. Of course, I would give it costumes. Death Becomes Her is the musical adaptation of the 1992 cult classic movie of the same name. In it, two frenemies take a potion of everlasting life with undeadly consequences. Megan Hilty plays the Meryl Streep part, a fading actress desperate to hold on to her youth, and Jennifer Samard plays the Goldie Hawn part, who is a boring writer. This musical is campy fun. Julia Madison and Noel Carey wrote a really impressive and funny score. I've been playing the cast recording a lot recently, as well as their Tiny Desk concert. Paul Tazwell will win the Tony for his costumes, it's just not even a competition. I wish it were a bit more funny, and it could stand to flesh out the other characters more. Chris Sieber in particular gets a pretty thankless role as the man the two women fight over. But those two women, they are sensational. Anytime they're on stage, you can just be delighted by the insane amount of bits and gags they come up with. Buena Vista Social Club is nominated for Best Musical, Director, Book, Featured Actress, Choreography, Set, Costumes, Lighting, Sound, and Orchestrations. This is my pick for Featured Actress and Choreography. This is the musical continuation of the Buena Vista Social Club media universe, which includes albums, documentaries, tours, etc. It follows two stories, one in 1996, where a young music producer tries to get a band together to record the album, and one in 1956, which is set in the social clubs of Cuba amidst the Cuban Revolution. It has a pretty bare-bones book that exists just to tie together all the songs, and combined with some lackluster acting in the past sections, all the scenes can be a little lethargic to get through at times. But when the music starts, man is Buena Vista Social Club really, really good. The band sounds phenomenal, they already got a special Tony Award, and Patricia Delgado and Justin Peck's choreography is thrilling to say the least. Natalie Venetia Belkin as the older Omara has a great voice and imperious stature. After loving her in the recording of Avenue Q, it would be great to see her take the Tony. So yeah, high highs and low lows for this jukebox musical. Just in Time is up for Lead Actor, Featured Actor, Set, Costumes, Sound, and Orchestrations. Another jukebox musical, this time following the life of singer Bobby Darin as played by Jonathan Groff. When I saw Just in Time, I had standing room tickets, so I was just standing there, and then literally a minute before the show began, an usher came up to me and my friend and moved us to table seats. And that's how I ended up like a foot away from Jonathan Groff for $40. Absolutely one of my favorite experiences of the year. Jonathan has charisma coming out of every pore on his body. He also has sweat coming from there, but that's a different story. Gracie Lawrence makes her Broadway debut with a sensational voice, and this is randomly one of the best designed musicals of the season. Alex Tibbers did a great job staging this in the round. But just like Buena Vista, the book is pretty lackluster. It's mostly a standard biomusical. The treatment of Erica Henningsen's character Sandra Dee is particularly surface level, but whenever Jonathan Groff sings and dances, Just in Time is a blast. Pirates, the Penzance musical, is up for Best Revival. Pirates is Rupert Holmes' adaptation of the Gilbert and Sullivan operetta The Pirates of Penzance. It loosely follows the adventures of Frederick, played by Nicholas Barish, and his encounters with other characters including Ramin Karimlou's Pirate King, David Hyde Pierce as a police general, and Jinx Monsoon as Frederick's nursemaid. Pirates is extraordinarily well designed, David Rockwell's set has some fun forced perspective elements, and Linda Cho's costumes are colorful and character defining. But the show is just okay. David Hyde Pierce is running away with the show every night. He should have been placed into featured actor and he would have won. Otherwise, Ramin isn't quite silly enough despite his great voice, and Jinx actually has the opposite issue of being very funny, but none of the songs felt like they fit her voice well. So it felt tough for her to really mug it up while struggling to fit her voice around the songs. Rupert's rewritten ending is also pretty incoherent, but as a whole, the show isn't a total mess. Eureka Day was nominated for Best Revival and Featured Actress. This play by Jonathan Spector follows an elementary school board in liberal California as they struggle with implementing a vaccine mandate. I don't really have much to say about Eureka Day. There's been a lot of buzz about one particular scene where the school board meets with the community over a video chat. That scene is very, very funny. But the rest of the show was just pretty dull. Nothing before or after reached the same high as the town hall scene for me. Some good acting and a really detailed set, but I barely laughed outside of that one scene. Not bad, it definitely tackles a big issue and raises some interesting points, but I didn't find it that engaging. Gypsy is up for Revival, Lead Actress, Featured Actor, Featured Actress, and Choreography. Gypsy, or as it's now called, Audra Gypsy, is the revival of the classic musical by Jules Stein, Arthur Lawrence, and Stephen Sondheim. I thought this revival was mid. Audra McDonald's acting is great as Mama Rose, but her voice doesn't really suit the score. When the character has triumphant moments, like in Some People and Everything's Coming Up Roses, the beautiful soprano quality kind of clashes with how the music is written on the page. Joy Woods has an uphill battle to fight when trying to develop Louise's character because of the reworking of the strip sequence, and she's not really winning. And for a revival that boasts its 25-piece orchestra, why does the orchestra sound so thin? The sound design isn't that strong, and they've added so many tempo changes and key changes that I just can't understand. I wish George C. Wolfe had a stronger take on the material. Aside from a few moments like the aging up of the dancer boys and the strip, the staging isn't really that inventive. This revival of Gypsy isn't bad, but it's underwhelming, especially when one of our best actresses alive is taking on one of the best musical theater roles in the canon. Boop was nominated for Best Leading Actress, Choreography, and Costumes. I would give it Leading Actress. This is probably my most controversial and worst take, but give Jasmine Amy Rogers the Tony Award. She became Betty Boop. What an incredible debut as a true triple threat. She taps the hell out of Jerry Mitchell's choreography, and her voice is so powerful. It takes a lot of work to make a character who started out as a literal cartoon feel real on stage, and Jasmine nailed every part of that. Other than that, though, Boop is pretty underwhelming. Bob Martin's book is just really basic. Oh, Betty Boop comes to the real world and then chaos ensues as she struggles to figure out who she really is. Sounds a lot like a recent movie also adapting a popular IP, right? At least it has some colorful costumes and Jasmine, who is giving a star-making performance. Real Women Have Curves is up for Score and Featured Actress. Real Women Have Curves is a musical based on a play and 2002 movie, both of the same name. In it, a high schooler named Anna struggles with balancing her dreams of going to Columbia University for journalism with her familial responsibilities in Los Angeles. I felt this musical was just pretty by the books. Joy Huerta and Benjamin Velez have some good melodies, but the lyrics tend to just repeat the song's name as the chorus over and over. Also, there are just too many songs about like wanting to leave present circumstances and dreaming about something else. This show has 3 in its first act, and 2 of them use flight as a metaphor. The book is also pretty confused. There's the plot about immigration, the plot about body image, the plot about familial ties, the romance subplot, and that's not even mentioning the random song about menopause. Not a bad show, I just didn't find it as incredible as many on the internet did. Smash is up for Featured Actor and Choreography. Smash is the Broadway musical about making a Broadway musical about Marilyn Monroe, based on the television show about making a Broadway musical about Marilyn Monroe. Got it? It's a fun enough time with yet again a pretty bad book. I would honestly argue that almost nothing in the script is actually funny, and that the only comedy comes from the actors just being really, really good. Brooks Ashmanskas particular does his usual shtick, and it works, and Carolyn Bowman impressed me as well. The only funny thing about Smash is how often they give out free tickets to NYU students. Seriously, I feel like every week I get an email with free tickets. At this point, they're begging people to take them. The only reason to see Smash is to see fun dance numbers and high belting, and it delivers. Robin Herder is another triple threat this season and is giving it her all every night. She just needs a better written character, preferably one that doesn't inadvertently argue that women shouldn't read. Operation Mincemeat was nominated for Best Musical, Score, Book, and Featured Actor. This shows a transfer from London's West End, where it won the Olivier Award for Best New Musical. It's a 5-person cast that tells the story of a real military operation in World War II, where MI5 agents used a dead body to plant fake invasion plans. I just didn't really get the hype. It didn't stand out as particularly funny to me. In fact, a lot of the performers I felt were overselling their jokes. David Cumming in particular is just so cartoonish that it removed any semblance of his character being a real person in my eyes. Jack Malone is the exception, giving a reserved and sharp performance as the Secretary Hester Leggett. The score is good, though I do hate the top of Act 2 number, but the sound design and orchestrations kind of kill it in the Golden Theater. The 4-person pit band doesn't sound great, and any moments that should feel exciting or epic just have these synths underneath. I'm sad that this show didn't really work for me. Glengarry Glen Ross is up for Featured Actor. Glengarry Glen Ross is a revival of the David Mamet play about 4 real estate salesmen fighting for leads. If you didn't know, David Mamet has the unfortunate combination of being both a MAGA Trump guy and a cloud raider with Patti LuPone. Not so good. It didn't seem like Patrick Barber had a take or a reason to do this show. The scenes weren't directed with enough energy or urgency, and Barber doesn't emphasize the men's toxic masculinity enough to justify the amount of racism in this script. As for the actors, Bill Burr is by far the best. He nails all of his comedy. Bob Odenkirk is okay, and Kieran Culkin is just not giving a great performance. He's not that successful at translating his TV quirks to theater acting, and especially in the huge Palace Theater, it's a little rough. My friend described this show as just white men yelling at each other, which is kinda true, but this story can be more engaging than that. Just look at the movie version, but not in the hands of Marber and not when delivered by this cast. Romeo plus Juliet is up for Best Revival. This was Sam Gold's take on the Eternal Shakespeare play about the titular star-crossed lovers. I have one thought: we need to ban Sam Gold from staging Shakespeare. It just doesn't work. He's tried it 3 times now on Broadway and none of them have been well received. There were a total of 2 things that worked in this revival: the lighting and Kit Connor. Kit was transcendent. You bought every moment he was on stage that he was head over heels in love. Maybe it's because he's British himself, but he also felt the most comfortable with the Shakespearean language. I would have nominated him for a Tony Award. All the other acting ranged from okay to bad, and overall the play seemed more concerned with vibe than the actual text. I'm glad that the youth went to the theater for this, but I wish it focused a bit more on the actual play than less on teddy bears. Stranger Things: The First Shadow is up for lead actor, set, costumes, lighting, and sound. I would give it lighting and sound design. Stranger Things: The First Shadow is the Broadway prequel to the hit Netflix television show, and it really is just that, a live television episode. Stephen Daldry tries his best to stage this engagingly, but this just exists to sell tickets and appeal to fans with cameos and teasers. I mean, almost the entire main cast of this play also appears in the television show. The main subplot about Joyce putting on the dark side of the moon was just kind of ridiculous. If you want more details, you can read my article about this play. I just didn't like this at all. I watched the documentary Netflix put out about how they made this show, and there was one line that really stuck out to me.
3 weeks ago we had a completely different play, and 3 weeks before that we had a completely different play, and I guess 3 weeks from now we'll have a completely new play.
Swept Away is up for Best Set Design. Swept Away is a jukebox musical using the Avett Brothers music following a ship, then a shipwreck, then cannibalism. This just didn't work for me. I found the story pretty confusing and wildly inconsistent in tone. The lighting was great, but the set didn't really land for me. The main boat felt too rigid to believe that there was a huge storm going on, and the shipwreck effect was just really slow. The cast sang well. I literally have no idea what character John Gallagher Jr. was going for, but he was charismatic, I guess. Not much more I can say about this. Sad that it didn't work out. Our Town is nominated for Best Revival. The last show on the list, Our Town, is a play by Thornton Wilder that follows the everyday life of a small community in New Hampshire. As a disclaimer, I saw this from the onstage seats, which are really bad. Kenny Leon didn't direct for our viewpoints, so I basically saw sides and backs of people the whole time. It was an awful seat. I would be pissed if I paid $300 for it. But even ignoring the bad view, this production was just so boring. Kenny Leon directed 3 things this season. I only saw Our Town, but from what I've heard about the other shows, he just didn't have a strong take on any of them. The smell effect in Our Town was totally superfluous and distracting, and all the acting was just okay at best. I just found this production totally unengaging and devoid of any urgency or perspective, one of the longest hour and 45 minutes of my life. And that's it. All 26 shows I saw that were nominated for Tony Awards. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I want to put out more reviews of shows I see. Right now I'm in the Bay Area, and I will be in London next semester, so keep an eye out for West End reviews. Comment any of your thoughts on my list, the Tonys in general, or feedback on the video. I'll see you next time.